It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. One of my absolute favorite things to do is to feature some of you, the audience, Team Flynn. We have 2 members of the community today, April and Eric Perry from LearnDoBecome.com, who are going to share with us their origin story, but also April and Eric are experts in organization in terms of architecting your life, how to become more organized and more productive. And April has become quite known in the space of productivity, having a community of tens of thousands of people who follow her work in order to get out of the mess, to get out of the piles of rubble and paperwork and all this stuff, email inboxes included. So please make sure you pay attention because we're going to learn a lot from April and Eric and how they do what they do. But they were also attendees with their kids at FlynnCon this past year, and they wanted to offer some advice for all of you, whether you come to FlynnCon or not. Just anytime you go to a conference, April has a system for how to get the most out of it. And after listening to this episode, I got to tell you, I'm going to start adopting this exact strategy too. So you got to make sure you stick around. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. And before we get into anything, here comes the intro.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He can't grow a beard even if his life depended on it. Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of Pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com. Hey, what's up? My name is Pat Flynn, and welcome to session 394 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. We're here to help you make more money, save more time, and help more people too. And there's no better couple that I can imagine bringing on the show to talk about exactly those things than Eric and April Perry. So without further ado, let's get into the episode right now. Here they go. April and Eric, welcome to Smart Passive Income. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
We're so excited, Pat.
Thanks for having us, Pat.
I'm so stoked to chat with you about your journey. And also, you had both attended FlynnCon this past year, which was really amazing to see you there. And you have a lot of advice for people because you go to these events quite often and you've been able to figure out how to get the most out of them. So stick around because we're going to talk a lot about that. But I want to talk a lot about both of you first. You have this amazing brand at learndobecome.com, and you teach a lot of people how to essentially stop drowning in all the mess of life sometimes and all the piles of stuff that kind of pile up in our lives. How did you both get started in doing this?
Okay, well, I grew up drowning in piles. So my home growing up, great family, but we didn't know what to do with stuff. And so we just moved things around in circles. And when Eric and I got married, we started doing the same thing. I would move his piles and he couldn't find anything.
It was not a good working system.
And really, I feel like we can relate so much to the Smart Passive Income community. And we are part of that community because when you're trying to raise a family and you're building a business, Eric was working full time. We're building a business on the side. We're learning how to work together, so much going on. And it just felt like the stress was getting so bad that we didn't know what to do. So I started using a planner when I was 13 years old, always loved organizing, but I started just creating lots and lots of lists and trying to work from lists and trying to do everything I could to get some kind of clarity and order so I could get things done. But it was so hard. And then I read the book, Getting Things Done by David Allen about 10 years ago. And it kind of locked into place everything that I had been learning from productivity seminars and books and things.
I came home from work one day and she was just bubbling, gushing about this 300-page corporate book that she's read. It's like, it's all so clear now. I get it, right? I'm like, wow, okay.
So I spent a week literally in my pajamas, serving the family cereal for dinner. And I built my command central. And it was this little system to handle all of the papers and tasks and projects and got my emails to zero. And from that point on, I felt like my mind could finally rest and I could get things done consistently, even with a family. And I just started teaching people just for fun. I had friends over, like 10 people came over my living room and I just taught them just for fun. Like I didn't charge
because
them.
Who doesn't want to go to the house and have an organizational
I
class?
just thought it was so great. And then I started writing articles and I started just teaching people. And Eric, meanwhile, he was born an entrepreneur and he'd gone to business school and he had just a lot of business experience. And he said, April, how about I help you and we get this out to more people and we actually build a business on this. And so Learn to Become is about more than just organizing, but how we start is helping people get out of the piles. And so we've helped hundreds of thousands of people with our trainings and have had tens of thousands of people now come into our community and learn how to build their command central. We're working on 25,000 step command centrals all over the world right now. And it's so fun to watch how it's just taken off.
That's really amazing. Eric, I'm curious, at what point did you see this as a business opportunity when you saw April sort of bringing her friends over and stuff? Like, when did it click for you, or was it always something that you thought it might go down that route?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think always I've seen kind of the potential of things that she's thought of and done, but she had found the solution to her own pain point, right? Kind of be able to scratch her own itch. that was really how the whole program started. It wasn't necessarily to have something to market or to sell or build a business around, but it was just really fun to watch when a person can identify something they're passionate about, they're good at, and they want to do something with it. Most people around them want to encourage that and support it. And so, she'd done some of these trainings in informal ways in the community and online in a few places with some friends. But then she realized, people really want this. And so she formalized it. In fact, funny story, she actually built this, to make it sellable. The first time she put it all into about a 30-page PDF, right? Mm-hmm. And people would email a little bit of money, whatever we were charging back then, and we would manually send it back to them.
They just send the money to PayPal, and we would email them the link to the PDF.
Right. So it reminds me of the story, when you had that, lead exam, when you saw those first sales start coming in, then you start seeing an ability to kind of help promote that a little bit more. So we talked about the ability to kind of do some classes, maybe use some online technology to teach a live class. And as we did that, we realized, wow, there is something here. People are really excited to learn these principles. It's a very simple 8-module process that every little step of the modules are just 10-minute microbursts, we call them. So people were coming in, they were getting these quick wins like you talk about in Superfans. We were helping them get success early on, and they could see their way through to building this system and getting their lives back on track and getting a handle on them. So then we kind of explored getting into Facebook advertising and starting to create more opportunity, people kind of coming to the class we were teaching. I remember one of the first webinars I ever went to about how to set up a webinar or Facebook ads was from a friend of ours, Rick Mulready, down there in San Diego. And it's just so funny because this little class I took taught me how to start using Facebook advertising, some paid advertising to kind of start generating more and more people, finding those people who would have that need and come in and sign up for the class. And we teach this class as a standalone kind of 45-minute class where 4 steps are taught that if that's as far as they want to go, that's wonderful. They'll learn a ton. But we had so many people at the end of it. And April kind of had a concern about, I don't want to feel salesy. I don't want to push anybody. And we got to a place early on in our webinar experience teaching these live classes where we taught the 4 steps. Then we said, if this is all you need, that's fine. We're so grateful to have been able to serve you. But if you want to go further and you want more, we have other resources we'd like to offer to you if you're interested. And that right there, being able to come from a position or a perspective of service and helping people move forward, offering it if they wanted, really changed the game for us. So as we had all these people come through, people were just so grateful. There wasn't a high-pressure sales pitch. There wasn't an expectation or requirement to have to buy something to get information, results. They loved what they got, and then so many people would come through and also want to become part of this STEP community. The Steps to Everyday Productivity is the program we call it. And it has been so rewarding just to watch, tens of thousands of people over the years come in, go through these 8 modules. People will always put in the Step Mastery Facebook group that we have there before and after pictures and just show us where they were starting from. We always encourage, take a before, right? Because it's one of the things you can actually physically take a picture of and then send us your after as well. And so people are so proud, so excited to share what they've achieved, what they've accomplished, how their lives are transforming from that. So kind of a long-winded answer to your question. I always saw there was an opportunity there. Wasn't necessarily trying to capitalize it on just a business perspective, but also I think from the influence, right? How do we help make people's lives better? How do we help them solve this major pain points so they can move on in the direction they want for their lives?
Love that. I mean, this is exactly the kind of stuff I really get off on because you're helping people and you're making money at the same time. April, I want to go back to when you invited your friends over for this and you just wanted to offer that to them for free because I think those little micro tests offer so much value. And it reminds me of when I was really big in the food truck space, kind of building foodtrucker.com, that little niche site that a lot of you know about. A very popular way that food trucks get started is these chefs who just have this amazing cuisine. They cook for their friends. They invite their friends over, and their friends kind of see the idea that, hey, you know what? This should be a business. You can make some money off of this. And that's a lot of how those food trucks start. And this sounds like a very similar start. But there's a difference between having friends come over and teaching them for free and then having other people outside of your network and reaching out to them, trying to attract new customers. In your mind, how did you get over the difference between, hey, I'm just sharing something for free with friends versus, hey, I'm here to actually provide something of service to you, stranger, but I'm going to ask you to pay for it as well?
Right.
Okay. Well, when I first invited my friends over, it was purely because I had finally found relief and my brain wasn't stressed anymore. And I just wanted my friends to feel the same way. So I wasn't even thinking about it maybe I'll do a business about this someday. I just honestly thought, everyone needs to know about this. And I'm just going to send an email to all the people I know in my neighborhood and just bring them over. And so I set up chairs. And I think I was even sick that day. I could barely talk, but I had 3 pages all typewritten. I was so excited to show them. The problem was when I showed them, I gave them a little bit of information. they all were like, oh, thanks so much. They hadn't paid anything to come. It was just a night at my house. But when they left, I realized they didn't catch it as much as I wanted them to catch it, because I could see this is life-changing. Like, this is going to change the world. That's my thought. And so then I thought, okay, I've got to do a better job showing people what this is going to do. So I started putting more effort into creating the information. Yeah, we sold a little 30-page PDF. We even said you can buy it for $30 or you can get it for free if you tell 30 friends about it and then just let us know you did. So we had these like autoresponders set up in the email. But what started happening was then people said, okay, this is actually really working for me. The more I clarified what I was trying to teach and showing people the vision, the more other people started getting success. And then they started sending me their before and after photos. And then I knew, okay, this is actually working for other people too. So then we, created more of a formal program that had a login. And then we were trying to build more simple ways to get it done. And we kept getting feedback from people. And, as it takes more time and energy and resources and all that's required to run a business, then, I couldn't just keep doing it for free. It needed to be something that was going to sustain our family and start, at least sustaining the business. But what was so interesting is when Eric came and started working with me, I feel like that's where things really clicked. And this is what I want to emphasize, because I know there are so many people out there with amazing information who are creating courses that can change people's lives and can really serve a lot of people. But if you don't have a system where there is consistent traffic coming in and you don't have a consistent sales mechanism to help people learn about it and buy, you're just going to feel stressed out, always trying to build organic traffic or always trying to have sales or, reducing the price or trying to figure something out to make it work. That's really stressful. But when Eric took the Facebook ads course and he's like, okay, April, you've already taught a webinar a few times. How about we'll bring Facebook ad traffic? Now we have consistent numbers and you can help people to be able to come into the program if it's the right fit for them. And he even had on our bathroom mirror with a dry erase marker, he was writing the numbers for the funnel. Like, okay, here's how many leads. Then let's talk about conversions. Yeah. So I like the bathroom totally clean. Our mirror always had these funnel numbers on it. But he was showing me, hey, April, it's not just about doing a good job teaching people how to get organized. It's about actually looking at the numbers and how much are leads going to cost. And then what could the conversion rate be? And at the same time, it was never looking at our community as numbers. It was always looking at, you have a mission and you want to serve. You've got to have the business and the numbers to back it up. And that was something I wasn't naturally good at, but he was. So I feel like when we combined my passion and my excitement for helping people to get organized with his passion to help actually create a solid business under that, then the magic started happening. And now we've taught, literally we have hundreds of thousands of people and our Facebook posts reach millions every week. Like, it's pretty amazing.
That's crazy. How does that feel? This question's for both of you, to know that you have this much of a reach and you're helping this many people.
I get a little nervous sometimes, to be honest. Like, I sent an email this morning, to 120,000 people. And as I'm pressing send, I'm like, that's a lot of people that I just emailed, and we have a good open rate. And so I'm like, there's a lot of people who are going to be reading that. Or, when I see numbers that have an M, that million next to it, sometimes I feel like, wow, that's a lot of people. But I think what I'm learning is that when you have a vision and you have a heart that wants to serve, and I think that's who you attract in your community, then the more people you can reach, the more people you're going to serve. And so now I feel like I just feel happy and excited and grateful. How awesome that we have technology today that lets us do this. Sorry, you go ahead, Eric.
My two words are going to be excited and grateful. So you just hit both of those. Because there's excitement, right? When you realize how you can line your passions, your interests and abilities up in a way that's going to truly serve people, help make their lives better, help them make their own lives better. It is such a beautiful feeling. Like, it's wonderful, it's fulfilling. And then there's that sense of gratitude, because we know April and I, we haven't done this all on our own, right? There's definitely higher power. There's a huge community out there, a lot of things that are working to help make this happen. So extremely grateful for our community and the things that are happening there. And it really is, it's coming at it from a perspective of serving first. In fact, our 2 sons often now go to school wearing 2 Serve First t-shirts they picked up at FlynnCon.
Yep.
We'll talk about that a little more later, I'm sure. But I love it because it's influencing them now and how they think about how they maybe contribute to some things we're doing in our business that we run from home. Or even our 11-year-old started a couple kind of yard care, lawn care businesses. Hey, Dad, I really just want to serve them and take care of them, make sure they're really happy with what I've done. And so that they can get the result they want and they're happy to have me come back. And I'm like, these are wonderful lessons for them to learn. So I just love that that's been able to help increase the reach and help more people have those lives they want.
That's so amazing. And I got to meet your kids at FlynnCon as well. They're wonderful and they're going to do great things, and they have great parents to learn from, obviously. I want to go back to the business a little bit more before we dive into some interesting stories that we have to tell about how we first met and connected back in 2014, actually, and how that sort of plays a role in today. But with the business, and for those of the listeners out there who they're just like so inspired right now. They want to be where you're at, helping loads of people, generating good income, being with family, but they're struggling. They're stuck. They're not feeling it. They're trying. They care. They actually care about their audience, but it's just things aren't working. Is the answer do Facebook ads? Or that was something that was an accelerator for you. But what do you both believe is the 1 or 2 things that people who are at that level who want to get to where you're at can do that would move the needle more than anything?
It's such a good question.
That is a great question. Yeah.
Well, we just had dinner actually with some friends who are in that spot right now where they have a course that they just created and they're starting to get out there. But there are so many options. Like, well, what do we do? Do we just go buy ads? Do we just, what do we do? And as Eric and I, and we've been talking with a lot of different couples and different friends who are trying to do something similar. And the first advice that I give is you have to have a product and a process to purchase the product that gets your customer so excited to come in. If you don't have that, it doesn't matter how much money you spend on Facebook ads, they're just going to flop because people aren't super excited. So I think the number one thing that helped us be able to accelerate is we learned how to discuss the pain point. For example, I've been teaching how to organize papers and emails and files and things like that for 10 years. But just a few years ago, I went to a conference and I thought, okay, I really need to get my message. Actually, it was Don Miller, StoryBrand. He was speaking at a conference and he said, okay, you need to be able to explain, who you serve and what you help them do so that what's this kind of elevator pitch you could come up with. And I used to tell people, oh, we help people get organized so they can strengthen their family. Like that was how I explained it. And people would say, oh, that's nice. Get organized, strong family. That's great. But they weren't super excited about coming in or they didn't know if it was the right fit. So I started practicing different phrases as I would talk to different people. And then I told people, someone asked me, okay, what do you do? And I said, well, we help people to stop drowning in piles of clutter. And then everyone's eyes lit up and they said, oh, have you seen my desk? Have you seen my bedroom? Have you seen my house? We have piles everywhere. We're moving piles around. And everyone started talking about their piles. And so we're like, okay, maybe let's try that. So we put on our class, it's called How to Finally Stop Drowning in Piles. And then all of a sudden, people just started really resonating with that. So the name was huge. And then the second thing that we did is inside of our class, we had to figure out what is a special bonus that we could offer that helps people make the decision right now. Because Eric and I serve people who are chronic procrastinators. So it's a little difficult when you're serving procrastinators to say, hey, do you want to buy now? Or do you want to buy later? It's just,
I will buy later.
And we even have that joke, how many of you are professional procrastinators? And everyone's like, me, I'm so good at procrastinating. So we had to come up with an offer that felt so exciting to people, but no risk and felt good on both sides and no pressure, because I want people to know, hey, we can help you change your life. And you don't have to do it today. You can do it some other time if you want. But if you want to do it today, here's what we're going to do for you. And then give them really special benefits so that they can join now and feel good about it and feel excited about it. So once we figured that out, then we had the messaging, we had the sales mechanism in place. And then as we got the Facebook ads coming in, those just became...
Do you want to share the secret sauce or no?
You can share the secret sauce.
Okay.
Do you want to share it?
So if your audience wants this is actually something that just made the world of difference for us in terms of, yes, sales conversion on our classes, but it also helped people get the results and set them up for success. So we tried a number of, what we would call fast action bonuses in, digital business, but just to encourage people to make that move, right? To take the step and come in and try the program. We offer a 60-day money back guarantee, which we easily and fully honor, right? We want people to know the risk is on us. They can come in risk-free. But we went through 5 or 6 of these. And finally, I think it was April's idea. She said, what if we tried this? And so we brainstormed it out a little bit more. But what we do is we have a mastery program and a self-study program, right? Self-study is just the 8 modules on their own. The mastery has a bunch of additional resources and community that make it easier to get the results faster with community support. What we did is we said, if you buy during our class right now, the first 5 or the first 10, however big the class was that day, the first who buy mastery will get a free self-study to gift to a friend. And that made everything change, right? Because people get really excited about being able to come into a program. They now have something they can give to somebody else, and now they're benevolent, right? They're the gift giver. It builds in a form of accountability partner, someone they already know, love, and trust. They can work with and help them get the results that they're getting as well. And they realize it's going to help make it easier because they're going to help them understand how to do it. So there's so many, and we don't market to those people. We just say, you just give us their name and email address. We'll send them a login to their free account. And it doesn't cost us anything because it's a fully digital experience and a digital program. And I will tell you, the conversion rates, the experience, people's success rates and getting the results in the course, making things happen, it just took off, like off the charts. And it was just so awesome because people wanted to come in. We'd often have to extend it to more people in our classes because people were like, is it too late to get in on that? I really want that.
I have a sister who needs this. I have a friend who needs it.
And what's really cool about it, though we don't market to them unless they come and they want to do more with us or want to upgrade into a different program, we don't market to them, but they'll be connected to us, right? They've actually helped us find another population of people who have those same needs, those same pain points. And as they're able to get results, like we've seen tremendous growth in our business just from that side. And yeah, a whole population of people we never would even have known about or had connection to necessarily has now come in and they have the ability to learn and develop these abilities and get those results. So that right there in terms of taking your major offer, and it really skewed, I'll just give a little bit of a percentage, it moved almost all of our buyers, about 85 to 90% of our buyers moved up then to become mastery buyers. We had a small few who would buy self-study, but people wanted to get all that was being offered there. So that was, something that people are considering what their product offering might look like, might be something to consider.
Yeah, I haven't ever heard of anybody doing that before. And so people who get the mastery early or fast will get a free self-study to give to somebody else. And I could see how that could definitely help. And you said that was limited to a certain number, or is that?
Either we would say if you buy during this class, or if we had a huge class, we'd give it to the first, certain number. And so we could kind of put it together so that there was an incentive to buy. Right. And the thing is, some people would say, oh, I'm really not concerned about a free self-study for a friend. I just want the best pricing. We're like, great, fine. You can buy tomorrow, or the next day before this specific offer expires. And we do change our offers. So sometimes we'll offer a special boot camp bonus, or we'll give a special bonus in their library or something like that. So the people who bought long ago, they get grandfathered into everything. So it's awesome. Yeah. And then people who are buying now, we just let them know, hey, you're going to get the best ever. But if you want to wait and join the future, totally fine. Just know that the offers and bonuses change. And so what that's done is we've had some people who've come back 3 or 4 times to our classes and they're like, okay, finally I'm ready to buy. But that's great because we let them know we'll always make sure it's worth 10 times what you pay or more. So we just feel like we've got the offer done in a really good way that feels good to us, feels good to them, and it honors where they are in the process. Not everyone's ready to buy right that minute, and that's okay. But we let them know, hey, when you come back, we'll still have great offers for you. But you're going to want to buy now if you can.
And we're there to nurture our community at whatever stage they're at. Whenever they're ready, that's great. We never want to have any pressure there. And we share some of these tips to kind of answer that question you asked, Pat, because people might be really struggling or frustrated with this just isn't taking, this isn't happening. I would just point out that keep in mind, this took us a process of months or even a couple of years to keep honing in and refining the message of what the class taught or the webinar, the right offer, the right way to present the offer. And I would just say, one of the pieces of advice I would give is just don't get distracted or don't get discouraged and give up. Because if you know that you've created a program or a course or an offering that really is solving a pain point, it's really going to help people. I think it's believe in that and let that sustain you and keep experimenting, right? Little micro tests and things like that to be able to know what's going to happen there. One other thing I was just going to throw out is just kind of that Venn diagram that Jim Collins puts out in his book, Good to Great. It's making sure that what you do have truly is hitting that point for your prospective customer, your prospective community. I remember being in a marketing conference once and heard the phrase that people don't buy products, They buy feelings, experiences, and identity. And I think you're trying to have whatever messaging you have around the offering you have, help those people identify how it's going to help them to feel better, to be happier, to have better experiences, and truly the identity they want. And just the Venn diagram from Jim Collins is just making sure that whatever you're going after in terms of what you're offering and the business you're building centers on kind of an intersection of three major things. One, you're passionate about it, right? You can't hear any passion in April's voice, but helping people get organized, getting out of physical, digital, and even emotional
I could talk about
mental
processing
piles.
papers for the rest of my life.
Yeah, she just loves it. Right? So there's a passion. So number one is passion. Number two is that you're good at it, right? Jim Collins says, be the best in the world at. That feels a little intimidating, but as long as you're really, really good, that the world around you would say, hey, I would love to learn from that person. And then the third part is making sure there's an economic engine to it, right? That people would pay for that service, that product. And when you can find the alignment of those three things, passion, being world-class, and having people being willing to pay for it, you really have found your sweet spot. Then it's just being patient but persistent and finding the right way to message and market, share that with people. And you asked really quick about the paid advertising. I think that's helpful if you can do some of that, but I think involving people, sharing that opportunity organically, there's a lot of ways to bring people in, get them excited, and encourage them to share with their friends like we did. I mean, that sounds kind of crazy. Tell 30 of your friends and we'll give you the program. But it really did start to create a little bit of a groundswell.
It's a proof of concept,
right.
I think, first of all. And then once you have that proof of concept and you know that people actually want it and that they're getting benefit from it and they're using it well, then it gives you more confidence. Because there is a little bit of pressure. When we first started doing paid advertising, I remember Eric said, we did 3 webinars a week. And Eric said, okay, our advertising costs were just paid for by this first class. So now the next 2 classes this week will be profit.
Or it'll help us cover other costs and profits.
Right. But I was really nervous because I thought, well, what if nobody buys on classes 2 and 3? What if we just wasted all this money? And so, I was super stressed, but Eric had, all the numbers written on the bathroom mirror. And he's like, April, we're going to be fine. Because we had the numbers to support. We knew, okay, typically this % will purchase. Typically this is how much we spend on ads. And so we had the numbers working. And I love that Eric has been so solid on the numbers. He's really been a strength to me because I know a lot of entrepreneurs who just kind of pay a lot of money and then hope it all comes back. And that's not a solid business. You've got to have the numbers.
Yeah, I would say invest a little, do these micro tests, even in Facebook advertising. You do stuff on very small, numbers. And then as revenue does start to come in, contemplate what percentage that you want to reinvest back in. And that's what we've done. We've really bootstrapped from a small beginning, little by little, year after year. I mean, we've been at this now since 2015, almost 5 years.
We went to no debt for
We were trying to be very careful, no debt, and just little micro investments, and then scaling those up little by little. And then for those who might be looking at paid advertising, just a quick little tip that I'll throw out that was also really helpful to us. As we wrote really good ads, some good copy, and we used a lot of before and after images. There's actually one before after image we used probably for 4 years that just
everyone
people
loved it.
And it was just one image, and we could just keep running it. But one thing I would try to do with every ad we'd put up in different audiences or different targets, I would be the first commenter, right? So you're trying to invite engagement, right? People sharing what it is they're overwhelmed by or what they would like to get from the class or just any questions they might have. But if you put up a paid ad, wherever it is, Facebook or elsewhere, be the first commenter and elicit people's contribution. And it's an idea you talk about several times in Superfans, just hearing from them, opening the doors, right? Being out there to greet and connect with them. Because I was amazed how many people in cold traffic would actually come in and start dialogues. We've got a couple of amazing people in our teams as well as us that would be out there answering questions and responding and just connecting with people on our ads. And it just created that sense of, okay, I really do want to learn more from you.
Someone's taking care of me.
Yeah, these are real
From the
people.
beginning.
And it creates that real human connection. So I know it sounds like maybe a strange little tip, but be the first commenter on some of your ads or posts, inviting, questions and comments and engagement. It really does make a huge difference.
Love that. We've dropped a lot of resources here during this conversation already. I want to reiterate some of those. Good to Great by Jim Collins. You were talking about something called the hedgehog concept in those Venn diagrams. So if you want to look that up, you can. We also give a shout out to Rick Mulready, who has been on the show before. He's a good friend of mine here in San Diego, and he's all in on ads and such. And you also talked about Superfans, and I appreciate you for that. And you are doing a lot of the things that I talk about in the book. I mean, even the whole before after thing, that's about my chapter, Drive the DeLorean, like show people what things can be like in the future. And you have to really paint that picture for them because they're going to want to have that. And from the interactions to the audience and the community that you're building, it's all the amazing things. And this really takes us back to, you had mentioned this before we hit record, 2014, when you first saw me kind of talk on this topic. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
I would love to. And I hope I don't talk too much about how much we love you and admire you. But yeah, it was a pleasure. We had a chance to go to NMX, a conference there back in 2014. And Pat was one of the speakers there, one of the keynotes. And he did such a great job. And there were so many things. It's interesting. I went back and looked at my notes back NMX 2014. And April has me organized, right? So I can find them. But I actually pulled them up. And I was just going through the principles that you taught there. And the topic was how to convert your casual readers, this is back more in the blog days, into raving fans, right? And I love that it's now become super fans. But the very principles, I was just looking at it. I want to make sure it's very clear. We've been influenced by Pat Flynn and a lot of amazing other individuals who have become now friends as we've worked and grown. And a lot of the things we've done, a lot of things we've learned and tried have come from their great influence. So Pat, we sincerely thank you for that. It's been fun to be part of, Team Flynn, part of that community, the SPI and the other stuff you've done earlier, and just learn and grow over the years together. But it was just funny because I was looking at the 4 main points. You said, ask for the answer, community involvement, create gigs and events, and reach out and highlight community members. And so many of these principles, they've been in our subconscious for 5+ years as we've really striven to
Strived? I don't know.
As we have strived to build this community, it really is, we call our community. We call our team members, right? Because they're not, followers or subscribers, right? Or customers. I love how you have those crossed out on the cover of your book. We are looking to build a community because, I love subtitle, the easy way to stand out, grow your tribe, and build a successful business. And successful business is kind of the third point there because you really are trying to grow the tribe, serve them, and make an influence in their lives. So yeah, I just remember the chance to hear from you. And I remember, I hope I don't give away too much, but he had this amazing way to kind of start and an amazing way to end. He actually involved the audience with this amazing magic trick that he did. That was so cool. I won't go into deep detail in case Kevin wants to use it again.
You stopped the magic trick?
I stopped. This presentation I did at New Media Expo, which is a blogging conference that no longer exists. And it's just so crazy because that was the first time I did this presentation that's formed and reformed itself many times over as a result of a lot of people knowing that this is such an important topic that they've invited me to speak on their stages. I've probably given this talk 15 times all around the world, including Australia and other places. And so thankful that one of my good friends, Jay Baer, convinced me to write a book about this topic. And right now, as many of you know, Superfans is now the book, and where this concept came from was 2014 in Las Vegas there, like Eric was talking about. And the magic trick was something I did at the end to get everybody involved, because that was one of the principles, like get everybody involved. When you get everybody involved, they become invested in you and your stuff. And I had learned from a magician this magic trick that would involve the entire audience. And it was just so stressful that it was like, I don't think I could do this everywhere all the time. And it involved a can of pineapples and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I could find pineapples in Australia. It's like, I don't know.
Well, you pulled it off masterfully. It was awesome. And I loved, as I read over my notes, how you've taken each chapter, to be able to expand more deeply. Because some of the examples you use in the book where you were sharing and teaching back then, and I love how you've amplified it. So if any of Pat's listeners, anyone out there hears this and you haven't had a chance to pick up this book, like, not to shamelessly promote it, but like, it is phenomenal. And yeah, all three of the books that he's written, it's just been so fun to read through. And just, Pat has such a conversational, friendly style about him and everything that he does, but his writing is the same way. So it's just been so much fun to read through and go deeper.
Well, and I just want to add something on the hope that this brings. I feel really, really excited to be here on your podcast, because we've been listening to you for a long time. And I just think back to, I guess maybe it was 2014, we started listening to his podcast. 13,
I would go jogging around our neighborhood listening to Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, and a few others out there. Yeah. And I would run faster with you guys in my ears. Yeah. Because, kind of like we're talking to Shane Sams, right? He jumps off his lawnmower, he runs in. Excited. This is going to change our life. I'd come home from runs and I got so excited. Awesome times until April.
And 5 years ago, when we were going through this, 5-6 years ago, I couldn't quite imagine the life that we have now. I knew that there were good things ahead, but I didn't know how good it could be. And I didn't know 100% that we could replicate what we were learning. But Eric would come home so excited, say, okay, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to this. Look what they're doing. And he'd be showing me and creating this vision. And then we started going to the conferences and we started implementing what we were learning. And it was pretty amazing how it didn't happen overnight. I mean, we spent a lot of time learning and tweaking and figuring it out and getting on the phone with clients and talking to people afterwards. I mean, Eric would be on the phone and helping people. Okay, what do you need? What would be more helpful to you? How was the class we taught? I mean, Eric was with our clients, really making sure we were doing things well. But you guys who were kind of paving the way and doing this before us really gave us hope. And we're hoping that we can help provide that for other people who are listening right now thinking,
Absolutely.
I want this too,
Well, one thing I would just say, one of the many things that we admire about you, and it was really something that's really helpful to me early on, is that you were so transparent, so open. I mean, I know that you share so much of how and what you do, helping people learn from your, I think one of your earliest phrases on the crash test dummy, right, for online business. And it was so helpful to know, okay, he's out there trialing and erroring, making mistakes and helping us learn so we don't make the same mistakes. And just that transparency, even with some of the things you'd share about business processes or kind of income reports and things of that nature, it just gives the ability to say it's replicable, right? And I know you talk about that in the book, giving people the factory tour can open the doors to people around you, because we do have a curiosity to see how could I do that? And I think it creates that hope, right? And a vision and a dream where people could see how they could then adapt those principles to their own success and their own process. So what you've shared, what you've done over the last 5 years, 6 years that we've been exposed and connected to you, it has been life-changing. We are sincerely grateful for that.
Thank you both so much. And you both attended FlynnCon and your family was there as well, your kids. And you had mentioned before we started recording that you would love for this episode to be something that, perhaps at this point, that people could listen to when they come to FlynnCon too, or go to another conference, and we're speaking to professional organizers here who go to conferences quite a bit and then can kind of distill and take that information and execute on it. Obviously, they've done that. So I want to kind of spend the rest of the time here to provide a resource for people when they go to a conference. How can they make the most of it from your perspective, having done this many times and with your expertise on top of that?
Yes.
Absolutely. So April's the expert in that. I'll let her speak to that in just one second. Before I have her jump to that, let me just talk about just briefly how much fun and how much we loved FlynnCon. We took our 3 youngest children. They're between the ages of about 11 and 17, because when I saw Pat put that information out about this first ever FlynnCon, and it was going to be a family-friendly event, and yes, there's a lot of stuff we can do with our families. We have always admired your kind of focus on balancing your life and your work with the needs of your family and what they would benefit from. So we took our 3 kids. We had a great experience down there. There was actually a track and some activities for, teenagers and kind of tweens. And it was just awesome. Our kids loved it. And a lot of the speeches and the sessions as well were just phenomenal. And maybe the highlight, so any of the teenagers or youth listening out there, this past time, there was like this awesome arcade set up in one of the side lounges. And they had a kind of a Super Mario Brothers or Mario Kart tournament. And it was awesome. They had people qualifying for it. And one of our youngest son was actually fortunate to qualify for that. And Pat invited the 4 finalists up on stage to play for the championship there. It was just so much fun.
Highlight of this whole summer.
He seriously is like still talking about it.
Oh, that was so cool. That was
such a great experience.
And that's going to happen again next year, just so you know.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
so great.
So yeah, such a family-friendly event. We love being able to take our children there, largely because we wanted them to see what it was we did. We went to conferences, who we were meeting, the types of things we were hearing, and letting it be a little bit more on their terms. So thank you, Pat, for pulling that together.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 3 tips though. Okay, sorry.
No, I was just going to say you're welcome. I designed it for this exact purpose. So you could bring families and have everybody understand kind of what's going on. Because we entrepreneurs, we often, number one, feel alone. So we want to go to these conferences, but then we also leave everybody else behind when we go.
Yeah.
Why not all just go together? So that's really cool. Thank you for that. And I'll send you your check later for all the amazing testimonials and such. But no, I'm just kidding. But April, why don't you take it and tell us, okay, and this is for me too. When we go to conferences, how do we make the most of it?
Okay, so this is so important because when you invest the time and money, you want to be able to get a positive ROI. And we've gone to a lot of conferences, and I can 100% say I get a positive ROI on every conference. And this is the exact process that we follow. So I'm going to give you the secrets. It's just 3 really simple steps. Okay, so first step is you need to come with your questions or your outcome. What is it that you are looking for in the conference? Is it simply mindset? Is it figuring out how to make a funnel work better? Is it figuring out your product? What do you really want? And even writing down 1 to 4 or 5 questions and having them at the top of your notes, it's going to help you give direction to which classes you choose to attend, to who you want to speak to during the breaks, things like that. And most people don't go to a conference with actual questions written down. They just go kind of thinking, well, I'll just go to this conference and see what I get out of it. All right, so then point 2 is that we want to be able to take our notes using certain symbols that will help us to later extract the best points from what we learned. So I have 5 little symbols that I use in my notes that help me. So as I'm taking the notes, I'm essentially highlighting and I'm making it simple. So at the end, when we move into point 3, it's going to be really simple.
And we have a
to
little
do that.
visual photograph of those symbols. We'll send those to Pat. You can put up on a post if you want. Do we also have a free printable of kind of conference notes that we can?
We'll put it all in the show notes for everybody.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll just briefly explain what these 5 symbols are. And of course, people can edit them to meet their own needs. But these are 5 that I found work really well. And I've used them for years and years. Okay, so the first one, it's a question mark with a circle around it. That means these are questions to think about, because a lot of times you're going to hear a speaker and you're going to think, oh, that was a really good concept, or, oh yeah, I really need to consider this more. Am I really living my passion right now? Or am I trying to live up to some image of success that someone else has created for me? And those are some of the deeper questions that I thought of when I was at FlynnCon. And so you write down the question and you put a little question mark with a circle around it. The next one is just a little arrow. That means first priority. Sometimes you hear something in a conference and you think, oh, if I could do this right away, it would totally double my business, or it would take away the stress or whatever. So a little arrow for that. Then I just have stars for great ideas. And then I have a little image of a book for any books that are recommended, because that's what I love about conferences is people will say, oh, have you read this? Have you read this? So I'll put a little book. And then the final one is I have little brackets, and I put brackets around anything that's more of just an executive summary of what I would want to talk to Eric about. Let's say he's not at the conference with me, or maybe a team member. So that way, when your team member or your spouse says, oh, hey, how was the conference? You don't say, oh, let me sit down with you for 3 hours and I'll read you all my notes. You just say, oh, yeah, let me give you the top 5 things that I thought that you would really appreciate.
It's hugely helpful.
Then, because Eric liked the executive summary version better than me talking for
we can
hours.
go deeper on key points there.
Okay, so does that make sense?
It makes sense. I think I heard Eric say he wants to go a little bit deeper on a couple of those points.
Yes. Well, I think he meant as I'm giving him the executive summary.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Then if he wants to go deeper.
Oh, I'll go deeper on that one and that one, as opposed to hearing all.
He doesn't want me to reiterate, everything that I've done. Because most people, when you look around, most people at conferences either sit there and don't take any notes, or they write everything down. But then they get home with a big notebook full of stuff and they don't know what to do with it. Okay.
Well, actually, just a quick aside. Actually, after one conference we went to a few years ago, the conference had ended. People were starting to kind of part ways and stuff. And I found April sitting on a couch for just 15 minutes. And she just kind of looked at me and said, just give me 15 minutes. And she was doing kind of this breakdown, a quick,
That's step 3. I'm about to explain.
Oh, she's explaining. But when you do what she's about to explain, like literally she gets so much out of every conference because of this. It's amazing to watch. Like I don't do it as well as she does or all the time. And she's getting so much more mileage out of what she does in her conferences.
Okay. Have we built it up enough now for step 3?
That was a good teaser. Yeah.
Okay. So step 3 is where we create a 1-page sheet with your key takeaways. And the important thing is this has to be done before you get home and you get back into your email or back into your family life, because you're not going to remember everything or you won't be able to prioritize as easily. But I would do it sometimes on the plane ride home, or if the conference was close to home, I would sit down in a corner somewhere. Or if I knew I was jumping into something right after that, I'd make sure I had some quiet space.
Because what happens after a conference is something we call
post-conference letdown syndrome.
Letdown syndrome.
Back to life, and everything comes rushing at you, right? All the emails, the calls, the family.
You're like, why do I have a vision at all? This
so if you can make those 15 minutes after the conference on the flight home, you will extract everything and get the results.
So this is what we have a worksheet to help you to do. So I can put the link to the worksheet on your show notes as well. But essentially, you just have one sheet and you divide it into 3 sections. So top left is as soon as possible. This is where I have maybe 5 to 10 things that I want to prioritize. They're going to go right into my command central right when I get home. And so, like, for example, we met Brendan at your event and he was going to help us do some SEO work. So we already had an appointment with him, hired him, worked with him. It was awesome. And that was something I wanted to do really quickly because we're getting ready to do a site redesign, and that was really important. So you have, top left corner is as soon as possible. Then the top right corner is kind of like, well, this is someday soon. So it's kind of the next tier. It's not essential. We don't need to do it right now, but these are the key ideas that I really don't want to forget. And then at the bottom, it's just great ideas, thoughts, other things that I enjoyed from the conference. More like the inspiring quotes or just something that I learned there. Here's a principle that I learned, or here's something that I remembered that I want to continue to remember. And so when I go through all my notes and I extract, like I go through, the arrows that I put into my notes that were first priority, those typically go in the section as soon as possible. The little books that I've written down, some of those will go into, someday soon, or here's some other books to kind of put on my list for later. But I take all of those symbols that are in my notes. I quickly go through and find the most important things that I learned, put them into this one-page summary. And that's what I process when I get home. So we have our whole Command Central process where we go through and we organize what are my current projects, what are my next actions, what's going on the someday list, and you get everything organized. And so that way, every conference that I attend, I've been able to get the best ideas, put them into my system, but then all the other good ideas are saved, they're organized. I take a photo of this one-page sheet, I put it into Evernote, and then I set little calendar triggers to review, a month out, 3 months out, 6 months out, so that I can continually go back and say, okay, what did I learn at FlynnCon? Let me go look at those notes again and see if there's anything else I want to put into my system. And I have these calendar triggers set up so that FlynnCon isn't just helping me for a week, it's helping me for the whole next year. And I'm continuing to go back to those notes, and I have it all simply digitized, easy to pull out the action items, and then I actually implement it. And really, I will 100% say that has been what's helped us to scale our businesses. It's the conferences we've attended, implementing it, buying the software, hiring the contractors, reading the books, figuring things out. And as we put those things into practice, the results started coming. I mean, not just financially, but really helping us in all areas of our lives.
Wow. People are going to have to re-listen to that because that was amazing.
I have it all spelled out. I'll give you the link to the post.
Okay, perfect. A couple questions for you, starting with the first point, which was, go to a conference with an objective and understanding sort of what you want to get out of it and whatnot, which will help guide what talks to go to, especially for those larger conferences where sometimes they have 20 going on all at once. So I think that's really key. However, if you were to finally sit down and do this, which I know, like you said, most people don't, they just go, oh, cool, that's kind of my people, so I'm going to go there and we'll see what happens. If you aren't able to come up with an objective that aligns with that conference, does that mean to you like, hey, maybe this isn't a conference we should go to?
I think that's a really good point.
It is.
I mean, I think, of course, there's power in getting out there. But if someone's just starting a business and they don't have either the money or the time to waste, I wouldn't do it. I mean, everything that Eric and I do is with a purpose. We have a deliberate purpose for going to FlynnCon. And we usually not only have one purpose, we have multiple purposes. Like FlynnCon wasn't just to help us with business ideas. A lot of it was to help our children. You really created that environment where we wanted our teenagers to come and see what's possible. And I actually asked our children to do this before we went into FlynnCon. I had them write down their piece of paper. What do you want to get out of this conference? What are you hoping to learn? And their questions were different. It was more like, well, what ideas are there for business?
Right.
Or what kind of business could I maybe do someday? So their questions were different. But I wanted our children, even though they were there because we told them to go there, they hadn't signed up.
We invited them.
Win the Mario Kart competition,
Yeah.
Whatever it was. But I invited the children to do that too. So, I think it can work either way. But I know that there are a lot of people who literally spend thousands, tens of thousands. I even met someone who had already spent $100,000 on courses and conferences and had never made a penny in her business. And so there are a lot of people who just like going to conferences. And if you have the money for that and that's your entertainment, that's fine. But if you're trying to get results, I think you're absolutely right. If you don't have specific things that you want to learn or get out of it, I don't know if that's the best investment.
Right. Thank you for that. And then the follow-up question I had was related to point number 3, which was giving yourself time to sit down and understand what the key takeaways were. I like how it interacts with your second step and the keys in the legend that you created. I think that's really smart. Do you do this at the end of each day or only at the end of the conference? And second part to that question is, how do you have the energy to do that? Because usually by the end of these days, we're so drained, and that's the time at which people go, "Oh man, that was a long day. Let's go to happy hour. Or let's go out to the restaurant," and then you don't want to be left behind. So.
Well, see if I can speak to that. Actually, great point, Pat. Because I think April is an introvert, and so being at conferences, and I know others out there are probably in a similar category, that they are sometimes depleted and exhausted. They've been doing a lot of listening, learning, and interacting. And I will promise you, though, I mean, knowing that that's her personality type and kind of how she gets her energy, watching her sit down, even if it's just a little bit of I'm going to take these 15 minutes, just 15 minutes to sit down and be able to process and kind of decompress and kind of put it into that format, into a one page. You don't have to get everything done, but it's a good start, if not completed by 15 minutes. Then you can go off to that happy hour, that social, or whatever it is you're going to go do. And I think there's a lightness and an energy that's there because you've started to capture clarity and focus and being able to know, okay, because I've been here, and it'll actually inform a lot of what you just choose to converse about or the things you do at the happy hour. Not that it's always got to be business building or relationship connecting, but I've watched her just come out of that 15-minute session after a long conference, and she's actually re-energized because she's got that clarity. It has been a cool thing to watch.
Yeah. And I'll just add to that. So what I do is at the end of each day, I review my notes and look at what I've done so far. Sometimes I do start building that one-page summary based on it, but it depends on how long the conference is. If it's a super long conference, I wait till the end because I know I might get even better ideas the second or third or fourth day. But what I do is I look at my notes for the day, and then I go back to my questions I wrote down at the beginning and see how far I've come. So if I'm like, oh, I haven't gotten any answers to any of these questions, tomorrow I need to be a little bit more deliberate about that. How could I do that? So I'm always connecting it back to my questions. But what I found that's the key, and it's okay. I mean, if you decide you want to do it the next morning or whatever, it's up to you how you want to create this, one-page summary, but you want to do it when the vision is at its peak. Because what happens is when you're at a conference, that's usually when your vision expands and you think, oh my goodness, and you're kind of out of reality for a moment because you're not in your email.
From the forest of the trees to see the whole valley or the mountain.
It's like
you
this
want to
moment.
capture it then before you get back into the forest and only can see the tree.
Right. You almost feel this elation and you feel like anything is possible. And that's when you want to build it, is when you feel like anything is possible. If you wait until you got home and then one of your kids is sick and someone just broke their leg and then something happened technologically in your business, you're like, then your vision just all of a sudden shrinks and you don't feel as hopeful. So even if I'm tired, I capitalize on the hope and the vision. And so then what's really awesome is when I go back and look at my one-page summary, I think, oh yeah, that was when I was in that space where I could see.
It's kind of your higher, better self talking to you kind of from that conference, over time as you go back and revisit it. And you ask the question, you do it day by day, typically those symbols that she gave as you're taking notes throughout, those become kind of your markers day by day. And then at the end, you can say, what were the best nuggets and pull those forward. One thing we did at FlynnCon, though, was at the end of each day before we went to bed in our hotel room, is we just asked our kids, okay, so what was one thing that really stood out to you? One thing you were really impressed about or really kind of connected with you? And it was really interesting to hear the things they shared. One, for example, was two of our children, the day that both your children joined you on stage, they talked about that and that interaction and the things that they were doing, right? Even at such a young age, it's just awesome because you're helping them recognize what are they getting out of the conference little by little as they go through.
That's really neat. Man, I'm getting inspired. I need to make my one pager from this and all the new ideas I have for FlynnCon next year too. And I just can't wait to see everybody there and just do it again and do it even better. My team and I, we did a very similar, like we ran the conference and then 2 days after a day off, we got together and spent 6 hours in a WeWork right next door to just jam on what went well, what we could do better for next year. And thankfully we sold nearly 100 tickets even before that conference ended for next year already. So that validated the round two, and here we go. So,
absolutely.
Thank you both for being here and for sharing not only your journey and how you got to where you're at, but how SPI and being a member of Team Flynn and super fans and FlynnCon has been a part of it for you too. That just makes me so happy. And this is why I do what I do to inspire others and create that ripple effect, because now you're helping others as well. And this is tremendous. And I highly recommend everybody go and check out your material. And you had mentioned a number of things that we couldn't go deep in today, like the command center and a lot of the other stuff about how you help people stop drowning in piles of stuff. And so what was really cool is you offered to have a resource for people to go and check out more of your stuff. If you all go to smartpassiveincome.com/stopdrowning, you can get into their program and kind of see what that's like if you also feel like you're drowning in stuff. Obviously, we have the experts on today to help you, and you can tell they really, truly care about serving you. So smartpassiveincome.com/stopdrowning. That is an affiliate link if you do move forward and go into their program. And thank you guys for that. But any final words, maybe a quick word from each of you for the audience that's listening in and they're inspired coming out of this podcast.
Yeah, I just want everyone to feel hope because I understand exactly where you might be right now we were trying to build a business, working together, raising a family. Eric had a full-time job. I was taking care of all the kids. We're trying to figure out how to make things work. And so many times when you're trying to build something on the side or build something better or move towards goals, you start feeling kind of weighed down by all the things that need to be done. Now, not only do you have great resources with Pat and so many other great people that, he's brought on his podcast, people you've met in the industry, but also we just want you to know that there is really a lot of support available in having a system that helps you to prioritize and get things done. And so I just feel like my contribution to the world is to help people not to feel overwhelmed and really to be able to create a system to support you so you can do what matters most. So I'm just thrilled to be able to help however I can and so appreciative of the opportunity to be here. Eric?
Yeah, I'd echo a lot everything April said right there. As you come over, you check out that class we teach. It's a free class. There are 4 standalone steps that really are going to help you get a handle on the projects that are important in your life, get your life more organized. There is no need or requirement to do anything with us or buy anything from us. We just want to teach that class and offer these resources like with the conferences to help people really identify what they want to do with their lives and move forward. And in that vein, I would just encourage you. Many people are out there either starting or just kind of in that messy middle, as it's sometimes called. If you believe in the concept you have and that it's kind of been validated, believe in yourself and keep going forward, right? Put your best effort, your best thinking into it. And then, gather around you the people who are there to support you. That could be family or friends. That could be online resources or communities like this with Team Flynn and Smart Passive Income. But just look for those people who are going to be there to help you and expand your thinking, to really keep that mindset positive, to believe in yourself and put in the work. I'll promise you it doesn't happen overnight, but if you have the desire to serve people, if you really are finding a way to help them solve the pain points that they have to move their lives in a positive direction, we promise you it's possible to create an amazing community of super fans, of people who really become your friends, people who you love and really want to do things for to help serve and support them. Like that's what it's really all about, is helping people move their lives in a positive direction so that they and those they love can be happiest. So we're just so grateful for the opportunities we've had to build what we've been able to build so far, for the influence of Pat and others who've really inspired us along the way, and really hope and wish the same for you.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate you, and I look forward to chatting with you both again soon and seeing you both again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
We
Thanks,
look
Pat.
forward to it.
Wow, I hope you enjoyed that episode with April and Eric Perry. Again, you can find them at learndobecome.com. And also, of course, their special offer, which you can check out at smartpassiveincome.com/stopdrowning. One more time, smartpassiveincome.com/stopdrowning. And thank you all for listening in today. I appreciate you so much. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the show notes on the website, smartpassiveincome.com/session394. And I just appreciate you. Team Flynn, you're amazing. Eric, April, I know you listen to the show. You guys are incredible. Your family's incredible. I hope to see you at FlynnCon again. And for everybody who wants to check out FlynnCon as well, you can go to flynncon2.com and get tickets if there are any left. They are just hot off the press because we sold about 100 from the event attendees last year. We opened it up and ticket prices go up every single beginning of the month. So make sure to check it out, flynncon2.com. And we'll hope to see you in San Diego, July 24 to 26 next year. Cheers, take care, and as always, Team Flynn for the win.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? ScoreApp helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? You record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio quality audio and high resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART.